A little bit earlier today, Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia was announced. This fight is taking place on April 22nd, and for a long time, for a few months, it was kind of unsure among fans whether this fight was actually going to happen or not, including myself. I didn't know what was going on. It was happening, and then it was in jeopardy, and then it was good again, and then it was in jeopardy. None of us know what's going on in the negotiations processes behind the scenes. All we can really tell is what's being told to us by the press or by the fighters or whatever, and that's all unreliable because we don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. But it came out today that this fight is happening because Showtime and DAZN are binding together, joining forces in order to collectively make this fight happen. Kind of like how UFC fans are binding together and joining forces to collectively shit on this card. And to that I say, look, it's better than Andrade versus Blanchfield. It's better than Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. And in my opinion, I think it's better than Strickland versus Imavov. I think these fight nights are getting better. And if you just looked at Marcel's page and you look at the upcoming fight nights, you would know these fight nights are getting better as they go on. I don't want to jinx that, but if you just looked at it yourself, you'd agree with me. And you know what? I don't see the hate behind this card, and I didn't really see it behind the last card either. I think this card's better, and I think it's still a good one. There's a lot of good fights here. There are a few stakes, and there are some fighters that I do want to see that I'm excited to watch. And it's all gonna start at the first fight, Rafael Alves versus Nurullo Aliyev. I got a lot of questions about this fight. Not only who's going to win, because this is a pretty weird fight, weird matchup, but also why it's so far down in the bout order. Because the thing with this fight is, look, this is probably one of the better fights on the card. This is, I think, easily going to be top 5 best fights on this card. And the UFC knows this. The fans know this. Everybody knows this, right? But for some reason, the UFC decided to push it down to the first fight. I don't know if Joe Solecki or Carl Deaton are more important, or if Jasmine Jasudavicius and Gabriele Fernandez is more important, or Eric Gonzalez versus Trevor Peek deserves the feature prelim over this fight. But hey, I mean, maybe it's a smart move in order to get us all to watch from the start, from the beginning. Which in that case, it worked, but I would have watched from the beginning anyways because I don't got nothing to do this Saturday. But yeah, in terms of who I think is going to win, Nurullo Aliyev is the minus 190 favorite, and he's making his UFC debut. Thing with Aliyev is he is undefeated, 8-0, and and I did say I wouldn't go for the undefeated guy no more over the guy with the not as good record, but I think that's exactly what I'm gonna go with right now. I'm gonna take Aliyev by decision. I don't know if a submission is gonna happen. It is his first fight in the UFC. This is quite a big jump. And Rafael Alves is a pretty fun fighter. He's not going to just let himself go out that early or that easy. I don't know if Aliyev is going to... I think it's possible. If it happened, I wouldn't be surprised. But the way I think it's going to play out, I don't think it'll be a finish. I feel like it's going to be some kind of decision to start off the card. And a lot of people are going to be talking about Aliyev after this fight. And Rafael Alves, I'm going to just hope he stays on the roster because this guy is way too fun to kick off there. But we're going to move on to Joe Solecki versus Carl Deaton. Joe Solecki is the minus 580 favorite, and for good reason. Carl Deaton is making his debut in this fight. This is also on short notice, and the reason why I got Joe Solecki winning by a submission in the second round is because, look, I already said short notice, right? I didn't mention that Joe Solecki has fought the much better guys in his career, right? Joe Solecki's grappling skill is much different. That's why I picked a submission. The grappling skill is way different. If you look at Carl Deaton's record, his resume, you're going to see a few submission wins, right? But the thing with that is Deaton, most of his submission wins come against guys with losing records, with more losses than wins, right? Whether it's his older fights from a couple years back or his most recent fight. Most of his submission wins come against guys with losing records. fact, he also gets submitted by guys with mediocre records. That's happened in his career as well. So with Joe Solecki, who's just got the way better ground game, way more experience, and fought the better guys, and just everything, I feel like Joe Solecki's going to take this by submission in the second round. Any submission at all. I don't think it's going to go to a decision. I feel like Joe Solecki has to finish his fight, and I think it'll be by decision. Ode Osborne versus Charles Johnson. This is a pretty good fight here. Charles Johnson, even though he is stepping in on short notice, he is a minus 165 favorite for this fight. This is a catchweight bout. They will not be fighting at flyweight, which is a good call because this is short notice as well. But as of my pick, I'm going to have to go for the favorite. The short notice replacement, Charles Johnson by decision. And I'm going to tell you all why. Charles Johnson is on a roll. This guy has won his last 2 fights. He stepped in on short notice in his last fight as well, where he knocked the guy out in the first round anyways. Right? A guy who was formerly ranked at flyweight, top 15. He does well in short notice fights. We've seen this before. Is that a car? Y'all hear that outside? It's like a car or some shit. But he does well in short notice fights. And he is more composed. He is a clean striker. He knows he's good he's pretty decent on the ground as well. Ode Osborne is a wild man. His fights are very entertaining. I have fun watching Ode Osborne fights, but he's very wild. He's a wild guy. And I think with Johnson, the more composed guy, I think what he's gonna do, like, he's okay with going to a decision or getting a knockout. He could do it, right? He could do it all. It's whatever he chooses in the moment. And I think what will happen is Johnson will avoid the bigger shots from Ode Osborne that he likes to throw. And I don't know if he's going to counter a lot of them bigly, like what happened in Ode Osborne's last fight where he got knocked down in the first round by a counter right hook. I think I think Charles Johnson, will avoid these big shots, and he's going to have his moments where he pieces him up. He's going to have his good moments on the feet. I don't know if too much is going to take place on the ground. All I know is that I think Charles Johnson is going to take this to a decision, and he's going to win it. Unanimous. It might be split. I don't think Ode Osborne is going to win this fight, just because if he does win this fight, I think it has to be a knockout. And I don't think Charles Johnson is going to get knocked out in this fight. So that's my prediction there. Charles Johnson, UD. We're going to move on to Jordan Levitt versus Victor Martinez. Another fight that should have been higher up in the bout order. Jordan Levitt coming off of a loss against Paddy Pimblett, UFC London in July 23rd. Yeah, over the summer. That was a fun one to watch over the summer. Jordan Levitt is a slight betting odds favorite at minus 120. And as of who I've got, I don't even know what to say like in between that shit. But as of who I got winning, I got Jordan Levitt winning, and I've got him winning similarly, second round submission. Why I picked this is because, first of all, the Brick Victor Martinez, this is his first fight in the UFC. He's making his debut in this fight. I don't know why they'd put him up against Jordan Levitt for his debut. You know, Levitt is a high-level guy. He's one of the higher-ranked guys in lightweight, I would say. One of the better guys. You know, you could have picked a lot of other people to fight Victor Martinez, in my opinion. I think Jordan Levitt is too high-level. Victor Martinez also has never fought a really good grappler. And Jordan Levitt is that really good grappler. He's better than that. Jordan Levitt's jiu-jitsu is so... It's just way higher. It's just a way higher level to any guy that Victor Martinez has ever fought before. So what I think is that the ground game is going to be an issue. The clinch game up against the fence, everything. Jordan Levitt is a strong guy. We saw that in his Paddy Pimblett fight. And he's tough. He may not look it, but he's tough as hell. And I think we're just going to see that on the night. And I think Jordan Levitt's going to get the submission win. And I think it'll be in the second round. Now, Gabriela Fernandez versus Jasmine Jasura Vicious from Canada. Now, Gabriela Fernandez is a slight betting odds favorite, minus 125. If we look at this fight, Brazilian versus Canadian, I'll have Gabriela Fernandez winning, and I have her winning by decision. I think the decision win, it's it's an easy pick. I think this will be my easy perfect pick for this fight, for this card. I mean, um, it's the debut of Jasmine Judavicius. Oh no, it's not Jasmine's debut. It's isn't it Gabriela Fernandez? Bro, I'm like completely stumbling. Hold up. It's Jasmine's debut. No, it's yeah, that's what I meant. It's Gabriela Fernandez's debut, so because of that, I think it'll be a decision. She's gotten a lot of finishes in her past few fights. Her past 2 fights have come by way of second round submission. Oh no, that one was a submission to strikes. Yeah. So Gabriela Fernandez, a lot of finishes on her record, on her resume. I think she's more skilled everywhere than Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's had 2 fights in the UFC right now so far. Her best win is Kay Hansen. It's better than most of the wins Gabriela Fernandez has had, but I still think Fernandez is better in her overall game. I think her ground game is much better. I think she is more of a submission threat. And also because we have to factor in that the fact that it's a debut and that it's not the first fight, it might be a decision win. And that's just the way I think it's going to go. I wouldn't be that surprised if it ended up being a submission, but I think they're both just going to play kind of safe in this fight. So, or not safe, but safer than they would. So I think it'll be a unanimous decision win for Gabriela Fernandez. We're going to move on to the featured prelim. Eric Gonzalez versus Trevor Peek. Fun fact, Eric Gonzalez has the same amount of losses as Trevor Peek has wins in their professional MMA careers. Eric Gonzalez, Trevor Peek. Yeah, I don't know. Thing with Eric Gonzalez is he doesn't get a lot of finishes, but he gets finished a lot. And that's a very bad statistic to have. Trevor Peek is undefeated. And I said I wouldn't go for those undefeated picks no more. But same amount of losses as the other guy has wins. Man, I don't know. It's just like, Trevor Peek is a heavy favorite in this fight. I mean, the odds aren't here, are they? Oh, no, they are there. Trevor Peek is the minus 215 favorite, and I'm going to just have to follow that. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win by knockout. I don't think it'll be in the first round. I think it'll be in the second round. Eric Gonzalez, he's just not been doing very good in his career. And, I mean, if I pull up his more recent fights, I'm pretty sure it's on a 2-fight finish losing streak. He got knocked out by Jim Miller. This is recent Jim Miller, like last year Jim Miller. This is not a guy you want to get knocked out by. Jim Miller is not the same guy he was many years ago. He's way out of his prime. He's way older. His striking is very much not the same. If you're getting knocked out by an overhand left by Jim Miller, that's not good. He got submitted in the first round by Terrence McKinney, but Terrence McKinney kind of finishes every guy that he wins against. So that's not really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the Jim Miller loss, and that's not a good loss to have. I don't know, man. It's just not looking good for him. Trevor Peek has been more active, and I think his win streak, all his finishes, this guy gets a lot of finishes. Let me tell you, Trevor Peek gets a lot of finishes, and that's what I think is going to happen on this fight. Feature prelims always got to be a good fight, so I'm going to predict that it's going to be a good fight. Knockout win for Trevor Peek. We're going to move on to the main card. Mike Mallet versus Johan Lainez. Now, if we pull up their pages, their records, their resumes, Mike Mallet is coming off of a win against Mickey Gall. I'm pretty sure he's on a winning streak right now. That was his UFC debut, his fight against Mickey Gall. He's coming into his second fight now for the UFC. He had a grappling match. He did win the grappling match. He's got a lot of submission wins, but we know that he can knock people out like he did to Mickey Gall. We're going to look at Johan Lainez, the White Lion. He's 9-1. They've got similar records. His last win was against Darian Weeks for UFC 279. Split decision win. I'm pretty sure Darian Weeks got cut after this fight. Before that, he got knocked out by Gabe Green in the second round for the undercard of Chito Vera versus Rob Font. That fight night back in April. This guy is not the most active fighter. Actually, he's not that bad. It's just 5 months in between. Okay, so I take that back. Yeah, we're going to forget that because Mike Mallet is less active. He is less active. So I'm just completely disregard that I said that. They're both. Mike Mallet is much more inactive than Johan Lainez is. I don't know what the layout for this Mickey Gall fight was, but he is coming back. And the way I think this fight is going to go, I think Mike Mallett's ground game is just better. Johan Lainez doesn't have a lot of submission wins. In fact, I don't think he's gone to the ground much in his career. He don't got any submission wins or losses. Mike Mallet, he's got a lot of submission wins. He got a submission win in his Contender Series fight in under a minute. So we know he's quick to do that. He can be quick to get knockouts. He can knock out guys like Mickey Gall, who have been in the UFC for some time. And I think the way this fight's going to play out, I think Mike Mallet gets a second round submission. I don't really see a knockout happening. I think it's possible. First round, second round knockout, third round knockout. I think it's going to be a more later finish. And I think it's going to be second round, probably submission. In the later round of the second round. Submission. We're going to move on to Tatiana Suarez versus Montana de la Rosa. Are they missing an accent mark? Is it Montaña or is it Montana de la Rosa? I think that's it. Tatiana Suarez is coming off of a layoff. A big layoff. Like a really, really big layoff. She is undefeated at 8-0. Her last win was against, I forget who. It was Nina Nunes. Yeah, Nina Nunes. It was UFC 238. That's a long layoff. She was supposed to fight in 2021, but the fight got canceled. So then she took even more time off. Now, with this fight happening tomorrow, it seems that she will finally get a fight. She's beaten a lot of top guys. She's beaten Carla Esparza, who is a former champion. Alexa Grasso is fighting for a championship in a week. Viviane Pereira, her last name is Pereira, so she better be good. She was undefeated, 13-0 when they fought. So, I don't know. She won the Ultimate Fighter. She won the Ultimate Fighter season 23 finale. And I don't know, man. I just think look, in her interviews and everything, she's said to the public, she wants to become the champion. She'll do everything to become the champion. She is training to go towards the championship. I think we could see her ranked soon. Like in the next couple months, we'll see her ranked. If she keeps up an active, fighting schedule, she will make it to that ranking spot at strawweight where she wants to become champion. I think she could pose a good threat to some of the guys there. Montana de la Rosa is 12-7 with one draw. 5-3 in the UFC, coming off of a loss to Macy Barber. She did knock out Ariane Lipsky in June 2021, over a year ago. She went to a draw with Mayra Bueno Silva. Lost to Viviana Haujo. Like, it's a very weird resume. Just kind of back and forth. Loss, win, draw, canceled fights everywhere. So, she did beat Rachel Ostovich, Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale. That's pretty impressive there. She lost to Nico Montano, who was the first flyweight champion. She won the Ultimate Fighter 26 finale and 27 finale. So we've got 3 Ultimate Fighter finale wins among these two. And who do I think is going to win? I think it's going to be the one with the less amount of Ultimate Fighter wins. I think just the fact that she cannot lose this fight. She's undefeated. She's got all this hype. Everybody's looking at Tatiana Suarez. Everybody's talking about the comeback and the layoff and her returning and her going for that title shot next. I don't think she can lose this fight. That's a lie. I think she could. I think it's possible. But in her mind, she can't. And the mind of everybody else is she can't. It's not that she can't, but she's not allowed to, if that makes sense. You guys know you guys know what I'm talking about. So I don't think it's going to be a finish because of that long layoff. I'm going to say decision, but I'm going to say a somewhat comfortable decision. At least 2-1 on all 3 judges' scorecards. That's what I got. But we're going to move on to Augusto Sakai versus Don'Tale Mayes. And let's just pull up Augusto Sakai here because poor guy, Augusto Sakai. This guy, man. Look, Alistair Overeem, knockout loss. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, first round knockout loss. Tai Tuivasa, second round knockout loss. Sergey Spivak, second round knockout loss. It's just they keep putting this guy up against some of the best heavyweights in the world, and he's getting knocked out in all these fights. I don't know, man. When you put him up against the guys that aren't so high up, he actually wins, like he did against Marcin Tybura. He won against Blagoy Ivanov. He won against Andrei Arlovsky because he's not the same as he was before. Chase Sherman. He can win these fights against guys that aren't very high level. When it comes up to like the top 10 guys in the world, he has trouble. But when it's a guy like Don'Tale Mayes, I don't think he'll have as much trouble. Dontel Mays, he's good on the ground. No, he's not good on the ground. He's good at keeping guys on the ground. Like, he has good ground and pound. He has good elbows from Crucifix, but he does get submitted a lot. Sidogan submitted him. Rodrigo Nascimento submitted him. Second round, third round. I don't know, man. Dontel Mays, I don't really see him winning this fight, but if he does win this fight, I think that'll put him on the verge of, a top 15 fight, just because Augusto Sakai is near that region too. He's like just outside the top 20. Dontel Mays will be there if he beats Augusto Sakai. There's only 38 active UFC heavyweights right now. So if Dontel Mays wins this fight and he does it in a good enough, performance, good enough showing, a heavyweight fight that isn't boring, there's going to be a lot of hype put on his name. A lot of people are going to start looking into him, going to be looking at him, and they're going to be looking at him as maybe a guy that might fight for the top 15 spot next, because he hasn't fought some of the lower level guys in the top 15. I mean, like, let's say, Blagoy Ivanov. He hasn't fought Marcin Tybura. He hasn't fought, those guys that are just in between 11th or 10th and 15th. So people don't really know how he'd do against them. Whereas Augusto Sakai has fought a lot of guys ranked before at heavyweight. So a lot of you already know what this guy's about. And for me, I think Augusto Sakai wins. And I'm going to keep it at a very specific split decision. I don't think this fight will be a finish. I don't know why. I just don't think Augusto Sakai will get knocked out in this fight. I think he's going to play it very safe. But if he doesn't, then he will get knocked out in the first round or the second round. Augusto Sakai, there is a chance of him getting knocked out here. For some reason, I don't see it happening. I don't think it's going to be a very entertaining heavyweight fight. If it is, though, it's going to put a lot of stock on these guys' names, especially for a heavyweight. But the way I see it, Augusto Sakai by split decision, and it's the least he could do, man, because, this guy just can't catch a break. So please go easy on my mans right here, but especially because I got him winning. But we're going to move on to the co-main event. Andre Muniz. Oh, yeah. Also the odds. Tatiana Suarez is a heavy favorite in this fight. Augusto Sakai is a slight favorite. Andre Muniz, number 11, versus unranked Brendan Allen, who is just outside the top 15. He is in between 16th and 20th place. If the rankings did go that far, Brendan Allen would be there. Andre Muniz is minus 225 underdog. And if we look at his past few fights, I think that's going to be the main decider of who wins this fight. You look at submitting Jacare Souza in the first round. We look at Eric Anders' first round submission. We look at beating Uriah Hall this past July. Those are some pretty good wins. Those are some wins that are going to get you in the top 10, right? Brendan Allen's most recent win was Krzysztof Jotko. And he also fought Sam Alvey last year. I don't know who Jacob Malcone is. He did fight Chris Curtis, but he got knocked out. Chris Curtis is pretty good, though, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But Chris Curtis is only number 14 in the rankings. He can't be number 14. How's he going to be number 11, Obviously, it's not always exactly that way. But with Andre Muniz, I just feel like, look, the win streak is pretty big. It's very, very big. I forgot the exact number. If I counted 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 fight win streak right now, like in total, not just his UFC career, but in total, bro, I don't think that's a win streak that's going to be broken by a guy who's unranked, in my opinion. Unless you're Bo Nickel, unless you're Hamzat. I just don't see it happening. What I do see happening, I do see Andre Muniz winning this fight, but I think it's going to be a decision. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. Maybe Brendan Allen gets one round, but I don't see it really going much further than that. I think it's going to be not a boring fight, but not a super fun fight either. I think it's just going to be like an okay fight, but Andre Muniz is going to come out on top, and then that's going to bring the hype even lower because the ranked guy fighting the unranked guy, the ranked guy won. So, if the unranked guy won, then it's pretty cool because now he's in the rankings, but, that's just how it is. We're going to move on to the main event. Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann, the Ukrainian versus the American. Number 6 versus number 8, Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann. Top 10 light heavyweight fight here. This is a good one. This is a really good fight. A lot of people are overlooking this fight, but this is a fun one. When this fight got announced, I was super excited. because it's a fight between two guys that have just barely made it into the top 10. You know, whether it's coming off of losses against like higher level guys or even kind of guys in the middle of them, or guys ranked below them, or guys fighting for the title, they've somehow managed to make it almost to the top 5. They're so close to getting there, and I think if Nikita Krylov wins this fight, he might just move up to that 5th place spot. He just might. It's possible. I mean, he beat Volkan Ozdemir. He beat the former champion Alexander Gustafsson. But if Ryan Spann were to win this fight, I mean, jeez, because he's on a good streak right now. That Ion Cutelaba performance was crazy, and it was even better that Cutelaba's stock wasn't that low, that deep into the ground at this time. So it's an even better win. Dominic Reyes, his chin is gone, obviously, but the first round knockout win is the first round knockout win, and people were shocked. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I thought he caught a body there. That was a pretty crazy knockout. But the way I see this fight going, I looked at some of their past fights. Ryan Spann striking is much cleaner. It's much more precise. He does seem to be a bit more powerful. Maybe I'm slightly influenced by just the most recent fight, the Reyes fight. But I don't know, man. Nikita Krylov, his striking didn't look very good in the Alexander Gustafsson fight. And the thing is, in that fight, like, he did knock him out within a minute. Not within a minute, just over a minute. But his striking didn't look the cleanest. And I don't know, man. If I had to pick, I'd say Ryan Spann is better on the feet. And I don't think it's gonna go to the ground. These guys are both, the last time both these guys went to the ground, they both got submitted in the first round. So I don't know if they would want to go there. So I think he's going to stay on the feet. And I think that when it does stay on the feet, I think Ryan Spann wins that fight. I think he wins by a knockout as well. I don't think he's going to be super early on. I think early on it's going to be more chill, more calm down. I think Nikita Krylov will get one round. I think Ryan Spann is just going to slightly take one of those rounds. He's going to be more dominant in some of the closer rounds, maybe round 3. And then round 4, I think he's going to seal the deal. I think the power is just too much now. And since he's fighting the number 6 guy, he's got to be training pretty hard for this fight. He did say he didn't train for any of his fights before the Dominic Reyes fight. So the way I see this fight going, Ryan Spann takes it by 4th round knockout. I think a decision win might be possible. The thing is, we don't see these guys go to a decision very often. So I don't know if it's going to go there. I don't know if I trust Ryan Spann's finishing ability to not appear on fight night. It might not. It's possible. But I don't know, man. Ryan Spann is he's on a roll. He's also on a roll. So I don't think the result's going to be any different from that. But, guys, that's Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. UFC Vegas 70, Fight Night 220, I think. Yeah, Fight Night 220. February 25th. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing my predictions for Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul. Since that fight's happening on Sunday, I can release the predictions on Saturday. So expect that. And yeah, not much else to talk about. Go ahead and subscribe if you feel like it. And let's hope that my picks do well this time around, because my picks last time, I went 5-6 for the Vegas 69 picks. So not very good there. Also, good luck to Bedtime MMA. He's got a fight coming up this weekend, I'm pretty sure. Good luck to you there. I've been watching you for some time. Good luck. And I'll see you all tomorrow probably.